Esta película está basada en las declaraciones obtenidas en los tribunales, los archivos de la policía y en varios sucesos de la vida de Joe Hunt. Sin embargo, algunos nombres han sido cambiados para proteger su identidad.
Señor Carney, esta lista apareció en el lugar donde asesinaron a Ron Levin.
Protesto, señoría. No hay cadáver, ni tampoco pruebas de que haya muerto.
Ya hemos demostrado que Ron Levin ha dejado de existir. Y demostraremos que esta lista escrita por el acusado Joe Hunt era parte de un plan para asesinar a Ron Levin por $1,5 millones.
He dicho claramente que todo quedará explicado cuando el señor Hunt ocupe el estrado para defenderse.
Dejen eso para sus conclusiones, por favor. Protesta denegada. Continúe.
Mire esta lista. ¿Es esta la lista que vio escribir al acusado y que sería utilizada en el asesinato de Ron Levin?
Sí, lo es.
¿Quiere leérnosla?
En casa de Levin, guantes puestos, cerrar persianas, amordazar, esposar, explicar la situación, desactivar la alarma, archivar todas las cartas y llevárselas. Hacer copias de todo y llevarle una copia. Utilizar sello de la empresa. Matar al perro. Importante. Que Levin firme los acuerdos y rellenar los datos. Cheques del banco suizo por $900,000. Hacer la maleta. Llaves. Código de la alarma. Y Frank Cavatumba.
Gracias, señor Carney. Quiero que conste en acta que esta prueba sumarial número 965, hallada en el lugar del asesinato, es de hecho una receta, escrita por el propio Joe Hunt. Una receta para matar.
Fairmont, you have testified that the accused, Joe Hunt, formed an organization called the Billionaire Boys Club, or BBC, composed of young men like yourself from Los Angeles wealthy families.
Yes. Many of us had gone to the same prep school together with Joe Hunt.
Had you kept contact with the defendant since you went to prep school?
No. We didn't run in the same circles.
How were you reintroduced to Joe Hunt?
Dean Carney had maintained contact with Joe through the years. And he said Joe had become very successful and was putting together an organization that my brother Chris and I might be interested in.
Joe made an absolute killing on the commodities exchange in Chicago.
Are we talking about the same Joe Hunt? The super nerd?
The super bright nerd. Don't you remember, Chris? He was top man on the debating team.
Yeah, until he got kicked off for falsifying evidence.
Listen, guys. Joe finished USC in a year and a half. And Joe is the youngest man in the country to pass the CPA exam. He's got some terrific ideas.
Thank you. So why are we meeting this big shot at a place like this for?
Joe likes the ambiance. Believe me, Chris, he's no nerd now.
¿Por qué no me llamas últimamente?
Nos conocemos.
¿Cómo eres? Acuérdate de mí.
Ahí está.
Barney's right, Joe has changed. He's an older nerd.
And what occurred at that meeting?
Joe told us about the organization he was starting. It wasn't just that he was personally very persuasive. He was also telling us what we really wanted to hear.
Let's be honest.
Tú no eres como los demás. Eres rico, ambicioso, hijo de una buena familia, con una educación esmerada. Supongo que no querrás pasar por todos los departamentos de una empresa para llegar a la cima.
Desde luego que no.
Pero tú sabes que hay gente que lo tiene que hacer. No les queda otro remedio. Nuestro club está buscando personas como tú que quieran empezar desde lo más alto y tener cierto capital. De ese modo evitaremos las típicas luchas por el poder.
¿Cómo?
Muy fácil. Si tienes alguna idea para formar una empresa, empieza siendo el director de la operación y tú eres el amo y señor.
Vamos a ver, ¿de dónde saca el dinero el club?
Bienes de consumo, ese es mi campo. Intentaré explicártelo. Yo invierto tu dinero y tú recibes un porcentaje. A su vez, los beneficios del club son únicamente para invertir en las ideas de otros miembros del club. No en las de cualquiera, solo en gente que conocemos, que haya estudiado con nosotros.
Un momento, ¿no es eso muy peligroso?
Con mi sistema se corre el mínimo riesgo. Es un sistema tan seguro que garantiza una pérdida máxima del 15% de lo aportado.
¿Cuánto se gana?
Más de lo que imaginas.
Mi familia, Eric, invirtió en su sistema 2 veces. Todo iba de maravilla hasta que el muy idiota se metió en un jaleo.
¿Ah, sí? ¿En qué jaleo?
Una bobada. Me echaron de la bolsa de Chicago. Veréis, cuando alguien gana dinero en la bolsa significa que otros lo pierden. Y tuve que enfrentarme a dos grupos. El primero era una organización mafiosa. Y el segundo, unos inversionistas de Oriente Medio. Francamente, prefiero la mafia. Son más justos. Les gané $10 millones. Cuando terminó la operación tenía $4.
Oh, eso es un desastre.
¿Crees que estoy en la ruina? Todo depende de cómo se mire. Eric, entérate, no existen los extremos. No hay negro ni blanco. Solo sombras. Según quien lo esté mirando, el negro es blanco y el blanco es negro. Es una paradoja. Yo lo llamo pensamiento paradójico.
A ver, ¿quieres explicarme mejor lo de los colores? No lo entiendo muy bien.
Chris, ¿de qué color es esto?
Blanco.
¿Seguro te jugarías la vida?
¿La vida? Claro, es blanco.
Pues para mí es negro. Depende del punto de vista. Es blanco y es negro. Lo siento, pero has perdido. Bang. Estás muerto. ¿Os dais cuenta? Las personas no son el problema. El problema es el capital. ¿Qué os parece hasta ahora mi teoría?
Muy interesante.
Un momento. ¿Por qué no venís mañana los dos a verme actuar? Os presentaré como si fuerais mis socios. Si no os parece mal.
So, Mr. Cody, we think of the BBC as an umbrella entity, Although our focus is commodities, we're already looking into import-export, manufacturing, service industries.
Hey, Mike, when the trucks come, put them on that side, keep this side clear. Sorry.
Okay, but our real strength lies in our people. Guys like Eric, Dean, and Chris here. Tough young Turks, eager to make their mark. Frankly, sir, guys like myself.
I can see that.
Now, I've got a good record in commodities, but I'm going to be very honest with you, sir. I did so well on the Chicago exchange that they forced me out.
Forced out?
By a conglomerate of Middle Eastern and Iranian interests.
I know, those guys are taking over so fast, we're all going to be speaking Arabic.
Farsi.
Pardon?
Iranians speak Farsi, not Arabic. Ethnically, they're Persians and not Arabs. But they did me a favor. If it weren't for them, I never would have come back to Los Angeles and put together the BBC.
Tell me, Joe, what does BBC stand for?
Nothing special. The Bombay Bicycle Club or the Brass Ball Club. Some of the guys like the Billionaire Boys Club. That title gives us something to shoot for. Our guys are from money families. They're smart and hungry for success on their own, and I believe that rich hungry is tough hungry.
You know, Joe, talking to you is like looking in a mirror 30 years ago. Okay, I'm in. 100,000 in commodities, and watch out for those Arabs.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow.
Thunk. 100,000.
Is that impressive or what?
That was neat the way you brought in the Arabs.
When he let me know how he felt about the Arabs, I had my key. And you guys were great.
What? We didn't say a thing.
Yeah, and we can do that anytime.
But by looking at you, he could tell what the BBC is like. You guys really do belong in it. Why don't you invest some money in your own future? Start in at the bottom before it gets going great. I think that young people should control their own destiny. And this is your shot.
This idea was a big step for us. We talked it over with our father.
Sí, creo que lo entiendo. Ya tenéis edad para tomar vuestras propias decisiones. Sin embargo, me parece arriesgado. No tenía ni idea de que supieseis sobre consumo.
No sabemos nada, pero lo estamos estudiando.
Es complicado, papá. Si lo supiéramos todo, no necesitaríamos a Joe.
Si estudiaste con Joe, ¿por qué no lo conozco?
Era muy solitario.
Salía con nosotros.
Era un empollón. Se pasaba el día estudiando. No salía nunca con nadie.
Carney le conoce. Su familia le dio mucho dinero para que Joe se lo invirtiera en Chicago y Carney es de fiar.
Solo puedo deciros que tengáis mucho cuidado, sobre todo con Joe.
You've been smoking on that calculator until the numbers are worn off. Haven't you worried up an answer yet?
Well, if Joe Hunt's right, it sure beats what we're getting in our inheritance now. Could be one hell of a breakthrough.
Maybe we could finally pay the rent? That would be neat.
What are you guys talking about?
Uh-oh. Confession time. Judy, if you're after my money instead of my body, this is all there is.
What about your family's money?
Well, it's our family's. It's not ours. I mean, we inherited some, but if we lose that, there's no backup. We're on our own. Uh-oh. I think I just blew your rich playboy image.
Just the rich part.
Oh, it's okay. She's got her own money. She is just after my brains anyway.
Oh, this is serious? I had no idea this investment was such a risk for you.
Well, you've heard the cliche that it's tough to follow a successful parent. It's murder.
Did you ask your father about this investment?
Oh, yes. He said check everything out. But how do you check out a guy like Joe Hunt? I mean, ultimately, you either believe in him or you don't.
And did you invest with Joe Hunt?
Yes. $10,000 to start. In a month, Joe paid us $5,000 on our investment. We were impressed. Soon we gave him another $70,000.
And it was shortly after this that the BBC rented office space.
We never thought of it at the time, but I guess Joe took some of our money that he was supposed to invest in commodities and rented the BBC offices.
Objection. He's speculating.
Overruled. Please continue. Did you make a third investment with Joe?
Yes. 80,000 more. It was the last of our inheritance. But things were really moving at the office. It was fancy furniture, electronic equipment, computers, quotrons for stocks and commodities on every desk. And in just a few weeks, a bunch of guys we knew from school had joined us. It was very exciting.
We just had another $100,000 day.
Follow me.
Let me explain something. What I am trying to do theoretically relate...
Joe had gathered just the type of guys he wanted. Ambitious, from the right families, looking for a shortcut to the top. There was Bob Holmby, super bright law student. Law was in his genes. His family is one of the oldest Beverly Hills law firms. And Todd Melbourne's family was very prominent in manufacturing. His mother was a wine and food expert. And Todd knew commodities. And Brad Sedgwick was a friend from school. Kind of an all-American guy. Ambitious, but not pushy. My brother Chris. And Toby Kabeck, also a school buddy. His family was in automobiles, and Toby knew the import car business cold. And Dean Carney, Joe's right arm and alter ego. Dean knew everything about clothes, fashion, interior decorating, and he was also a top law student. And Joe, who mesmerized everybody. He was our age, but you'd never know it. It was unbelievable. I mean, here was an outsider, a nerd that we used to laugh at in prep school, a scholarship kid with no money who used to walk to school. Now he'd become successful, return home, and he was in charge.
Can you give us an example of how he used this influence?
Joe had this, trick of finding your needs and meeting them. Instant support. He became what you wanted, and you became emotionally dependent. And then somehow you found yourself doing what he wanted. Like in the test he gave everyone.
¿Deseas hablar conmigo?
Hola, Eric. Pasa. Siéntate.
¿Qué quieres?
Ganancias. Me gustaría hacerte una prueba. Todos han pasado por ella.
No será de matemáticas.
Son unas preguntas. Quiero saber cómo piensas. ¿Cuáles son tus razonamientos?
No hay inconveniente.
Supongo que comprenderás que si vamos a unar nuestras fortunas, todos tenemos que saber cómo pensamos. ¿De acuerdo?
Es lógico.
¿Estás cómodo?
Sí.
Bien. Primera pregunta. Si estuvieras absolutamente seguro de que no te iban a coger, ¿serías capaz de matar por $1 millón?
No.
Eric, piénsalo bien.
No, creo que no.
Entonces esa es una línea que no cruzarías, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Muy bien. Supongamos que llegas un día a tu casa y te encuentras que tu madre está siendo violada. ¿Matarías al violador?
Sí.
De modo que matarías.
Cualquiera mataría en esas circunstancias.
Lo cual significa que cambiando las circunstancias serías capaz de cruzar la línea que hace un momento no querías cruzar. ¿Verdad, Eric? Me interesas.
Please continue your description of Joe Hunt's indoctrination of the members.
Joe Hunt convinced us that we were an elite organization. We needed a common concept to bind us together.
What's wrong with being elitist? If people are honest, they want to believe they're different.
There's nothing wrong with that. The U.S. Senate's been called the world's most exclusive club, 100 members only.
Even if it does contain some Democrats?
To make an impact on investors, we must be bold and aggressive. Break some heads. Now, to keep us aggressive, I'm going to suggest 2 rules. First, never be sorry for anything you do.
Now, wait a minute. That works both ways. If you're never sorry for anything you do, then you won't do anything that you're sorry for.
Really bright.
The second rule is, it's okay to lie as long as you know the truth and it's good for the BBC. It's stupid to tell a lie when you don't know the truth, because the person you're lying to may know the truth, and then you're dead.
Excuse me. Would anybody like some coffee or anything before I leave?
No coffee, no drugs, no alcohol. I keep the temple pure.
Night.
What about a common image for the BBC? I think that's vital in this town.
Absolutely. The BBC is both a business and a social entity. We want to cast a big shadow over the social scene. High profile, high impact. Lay down a big track. Restaurants, clubs, everywhere we're seen. LA is a laid-back town in terms of dress. BBC isn't laid back. Let's start a practice. From now on, whenever any member of the BBC is out in public, he's always wearing the right coat and tie. I mean, style.
Joe, that rule has to work from the top down. The right clothes, the right haircut, the right style, everything.
Well, so?
He means you need work, Joe.
Lots of money. You got the gold, I got the brains. Let's make lots of. I've had it with the scheming and messing around with jerks. My car is parked outside, I'm afraid it doesn't work. I'm looking for a partner, someone who gets things fixed. Ask yourself this question, do you want to be rich? I got the brains, you got the looks. Let's make lots of money. You got the gold, I got the brains. Let's make lots of money. You can tell I'm educated. I studied at the Sorbonne. Doctored in mathematics, I could have been a don. I can program a computer, choose the perfect time. If you've got the inclination, I have got the crime.
Listen, you guys better brush up on your wines so you'll know what to order at a power lunch.
He's right. Knowing the proper wine will give you a psychological beat on the investor. Use every edge.
You know, Todd's got the advantage there. His mother's an Enolophile. That's a lover of wines, Chris.
Thanks. My mother made me learn. I knew all my wine lists by the time I was 14.
Must have been a very happy childhood.
Well, maybe Todd should give us a quick course.
Todd. Okay, guys, some business. Now, we need something to push the investors besides paper. I've got a line on an inventor named Peter Faraday, a weird scientist type with a workshop in the desert. He has developed an attrition mill for refining ore that may revolutionize the processing of coal and silica.
Computer chips.
If we can get Peter Faraday to commit to us for a little development money, then we will have some actual hardware to bait investors and an instant manufacturing arm of the BBC.
Hello, Bob.
Hi, Amy. God, you look gorgeous. This is the group I was telling you about. Joe Hunt, Amy Whitehall. She's one of us.
Hi.
Come join us. Sit by me.
Joe, I think I got it.
Got what, Dean?
A way to dazzle Faraday.
Faraday. I'm Joe Hunt of BBC Consolidated, and we're here about your invention.
I found out later they'd borrowed their parents' cars to make an impression. It worked.
What was your impression of Joe Hunt?
I was a little amused at first, but after an hour of listening to Joe Hunt, I thought he was incredibly articulate. He could talk about anything.
And did you enter into an agreement with Joe Hunt?
Peter Faraday has signed a contract giving us exclusive rights to manufacture his attrition mill, the cyclotron. For you non-scientific types, it's a grinding machine that reduces ore almost to molecular level. There have been articles published about it.
That'll get us some press.
And investors. We only have one prototype. We need to build 2 more. Anyone want to take a whack at it?
I will. I'm great with my hands. How about it, Brad? We used to rebuild cars together.
Sure. What's a little old attrition mill compared to a 58 Corvette?
Great. Project me a budget, and I'll get the money to you. But get it rolling. We are starting a whole corporation around this machine called Microgenesis. It should draw investors like bees to honey. Now, Quebec has some great news about our import car business. Toby?
The BBC is importing gray market cars from Europe on our own Trans-Allied cars. For those who don't know, gray market cars are mostly used foreign cars that are brought into this country and modified so they meet emission standards.
The profit is humongous. Our first cars arrive tomorrow. We have a 72 Mercedes convertible and a 78 Porsche 911.
Yeah!
All right! Wait. That's not all. Toby, go ahead.
What?
There's 10 more on the way. Now, they can't be sold until they're smog certified, but they can be driven, which means that the BBC now has one hell of a motor pool.
All right.
Drive them carefully, you guys.
Oh, man.
Okay, guys, that's it. Anyone who wants to join us, we're going to the movies.
Let's hear it for the porn flickers.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm going to pick up the rest of Faraday's blueprints. I'll see you in your office.
You really want to try and build Faraday's monster machine?
I'm getting blitzed with all Joe's talk. I want to work with something solid that I can put my hands on instead of these paper commodities. Speaking of which, how are our investments doing?
Okay, I guess. I mean, you know Joe. Does he ever say anything's bad?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Look, let's work it this way. You keep your eyes on the paper empire, and I'll just work with the hardware. All right? Are you coming home?
No, I'm going to go with the guys.
Man, don't you ever get enough of him?
¿Sabéis por qué el cine es tan importante? Porque refleja la realidad. Es la vida misma. Rambo, por ejemplo, es la síntesis perfecta de la filosofía paradójica. Pero es un fracasado.
¿Un fracasado? ¿Por qué?
Por no matar al niño. ¿No os habéis dado cuenta? Es en ese preciso momento cuando Rambo pierde la iniciativa.
No me acuerdo de ese
La
detalle.
verdad
es que yo tampoco.
¿No te acuerdas? Rambo está rodeado. Todos le persiguen. Pero debido a su habilidad y preparación, él tiene ventaja. De repente el niño lo ve. Coge al niño, pero más tarde lo suelta. ¡Qué gran equivocación! Porque el niño se marcha y revela la posición de Rambo.
¿Qué esperabas que hiciera?
Que matara al niño. Rambo es un fracasado porque piensa que matar al niño está mal.
¿Y no lo está?
No. Rambo ve el mal como un absoluto y los absolutos no existen. Solo existen las sombras. Una vez comprendido esto, es fácil manipular las situaciones para que sirvan a nuestros intereses. Esa persona es una sombra. Debéis saber que hay 3 sombras en el club. Yo, Melbourne y Carney. Necesitamos más.
Entonces, si Rambo hubiera sido una sombra, ¿no le habrían cogido?
Eso es. Habría matado al niño para poder escapar.
Pero ese niño podría haber sido presidente.
O un inútil. Es un ente hipotético. ¿No es Rambo una realidad mucho más importante? Metéroslo en la cabeza. En este mundo, ganar, no perderlo es todo. ¿Cuándo os han felicitado vuestros padres por haber suspendido? Quien más dinero tiene, mejores tías ligan. A ver cuándo ha publicado la revista Fortuna la lista con los nombres de los 500 más pobres del país. Rambo libraba una guerra no declarada. Como en los negocios. Los negocios son la guerra. Y la guerra es un negocio. Es otra paradoja. Os advierto que no permito errores. Esta es una guerra que nuestro club va a ganar.
Mr. Carney, about the victim, Ron Levin. How did you and Joe Hunt become involved with Ron Levin?
We were looking for investors all the time. One of our guys heard about Levin, who had a reputation as a big operator with a lot of money. Levin was said to be a sort of con man, a real scammer. And Joe was intrigued by that.
Were you at their first meeting?
No. Joe said he'd handle Levin. We weren't sophisticated enough. They met privately over several weeks. Joe was very impressed. He said that we could learn a lot from Ron Levin. When Joe finally thought that Levin was hot, we put together a prospectus on the cyclotron and pitched it to Ron Levin.
It's very impressive, Joe. But you haven't actually built one of these machines, right?
No, but we do have Faraday's prototype that he built, and the marketing and scientific articles.
Microgenesis Corporation. It's a nice name. A wholly owned subsidiary of BBC Consolidated of North America, another impressive name, which is supposed to build this cyclotron. Basically, hasn't built one yet, true?
Mr. Levin, it's the Beverly Hills Police. Some lieutenant.
Don't I rate a captain? Ask them if they have an indictment on me yet. I keep those guys hopping. They have a file on me as thick as an encyclopedia. Nothing they can prove, of course. They're good guys.
It's not about an indictment. He wants to know if you were able to get Muhammad Ali for the police children's benefit, like you promised.
Yes, of course. Tell them I talked to the champ. It's all set. So, the BBC has got no hardware, just paper.
No, we have investors.
Like who?
Peter Van Platt and some of his people.
For how much?
$150,000, non-refundable, first payment for an option to purchase BBC cyclotrons in the future.
So you sold him, and he doesn't even know if you can build this thing. Joe, we've become good friends, right?
Right.
Do me a favor. Give me Van Platt's number.
So you can verify my story?
No, so I can take him for $1 million. If he'll invest with that little knowledge, he's a live fish. I want some of him. You're good. You're very good. I'll tell you what. This Saturday, I'm throwing a little tennis party at the club. Bring over some of your boys, and we can get to know each other better. Maybe, eventually, we can do business.
Joe was desperate to get Ron as an investor. There were now about 20 guys in the BBC. But things weren't moving, and most of the boys didn't know it.
And commodities are generally taking a beating.
How bad?
Some accounts like yours are steady, others not so strong.
They're dropping like a rock, Joe.
I know how to read a quotron, Todd, but commodities also go up. You guys have got to tap your sources for investors. Friends, family, whomever.
Quebec, when are we going to start selling those cars?
Can't get the emissions lab to certify them. Our mechanic works on them. They don't pass at $1,000 a pop for each test. That's $20,000 worth of tests so far. Zip.
Then change mechanics, but get them passed. We have 12 foreign cars in inventory that are costing us money.
Any chance Chris and Brad will get a cyclotron finished before the millennium?
Well, Chris says it's coming, but it's slow.
This is great. Things are almost bad enough to have a party.
Joe, what about your friend Ron Levin?
He's warming up. You should have seen the way Joe handled him.
Warm, but not ready. And listen, Levin's having a big tennis party on Saturday. There'll be lots of money there. It's your target. You guys must show up looking very sharp.
And if you play Levin, lose.
¿Vas a jugar así vestido?
Prefiero mirar. ¿De dónde habéis sacado los coches?
De la Transalliance importan coches extranjeros.
Sin impuestos. Listo.
Ron. Sería estupendo trabajar juntos. ¿Por qué te resistes?
Estoy esperando el momento adecuado y el más oportuno. Deberías aprender de mí.
¿Qué ves de malo en el ciclotrón?
No es mi estilo, ni el tuyo tampoco. Trabajamos con papel, conceptos, materias primas. Ese es nuestro campo.
Muy bien. Materias primas, en eso estoy muy fuerte.
Ya lo sé. Dame unos días. Solo te pido el tiempo suficiente para hablar con mi gente y preparar algo. A lo mejor pongo cierto capital a tu disposición para que trates con los brokers.
¿En serio?
¿Tomo yo a broma el dinero?
¿Cuánto dinero será? No lo sabré hasta que cerremos el trato.
¿Confías en él?
No. Por eso va a salir bien.
Yo voy a darme un baño antes de cenar. ¿Se apunta alguien?
Yo. Chris, ¿te atreves desde aquí?
Hombre, atreverme sí, pero...
Vamos.
Estáis locos. Vamos allá.
¡Dejadme sitio! ¡Que voy! I can't believe we did that sober. I can't believe we did that at all. What time are we supposed to pick up the girls?
Hey, Joe, you get enough?
One more the hard way. You coming? Where's he going?
Hey, come on, Joe, that's dangerous as hell.
He doesn't do drugs, he doesn't drink. Maybe it was that deal with Levin that finally freaked him out, huh?
Hey, Joe, come on. From the roof, the pool is 25 feet down.
And it's only 8 feet deep. Top of the world, Ma! Top of the world! He's bluffing.
He really is crazy. It was crazy, but also a brilliant move, because he knew the word would get around. And after that stunt, nobody would doubt Joe, no matter what he said he would do.
Mr. Fairmont, you've testified previously that your commodities investment was showing a profit. Would you describe the change that occurred?
Well, previously, when I asked Joe or Todd Melbourne how my commodities were going, they'd answer, everything was great. But that changed.
Hola. ¿Qué tal?
Eric, no te puedo mentir. He intentado conseguirte más beneficios incrementando la inversión total de tu capital. Pero hoy el mercado ha dado un vuelco antes de que pudiera liquidar dentro del margen previsto.
¿Qué significa?
Que tu cuenta está en números rojos.
Oh, Dios mío. En fin. ¿Qué puedo hacer para recuperarlo?
Eric, estoy sorprendido. ¿Te das cuenta qué maravilla? Estás enfocando el problema con perspectiva en lugar de perder el tiempo buscando un culpable. Eso es estupendo. Tú vales para esto. Mirad, tenemos otras inversiones. Cuando produzcan, te prometo que recuperarás tus $300,000. Y por haberlo encajado tan bien, a partir de este momento serás una sombra. ¿Cómo que estás a cero? ¿No nos dijo que era una inversión sin riesgos?
With Mr. Hunt, Mr. Melbourne, and Mr. Carney.
Yes, but I didn't. Because a couple days later, Joe said, I'm sorry, Eric. You really aren't a shading.
And how did your brother respond to Joe losing your money?
What do you mean gone? What happened to our risk-free investment?
¿Qué quieres que te diga? Lo he estado estudiando y es bastante difícil. Con las fluctuaciones que sufre el mercado nunca se sabe. Lo que faltaba. Estamos arruinados y encima imitas a Joe. No es un juego de niños, Chris. Esto va en serio. Es la guerra. Ellos atacan y nosotros contraatacamos. Y aunque esta vez perdamos, hay que mantenerse firmes. Te has dejado comer el coco por ese idealista. Eric, sé sincero conmigo. ¿Crees en su filosofía paradójica? En parte. Tiene cosas buenas. Sí, creo en Joe. Y me ha prometido que recuperaremos nuestros $300,000. Eres un estúpido. Joe nos ha arruinado. ¿Por qué sigues confiando en él? ¿Por qué? Porque nuestro amigo ha conseguido todo cuanto se ha propuesto. Al contrario que nosotros dos. Es cierto, tiene aires de grandeza, pero hay que aceptarlo, es así. Dijo claramente que formaría un club y lo ha hecho. Que conseguiría inversores y los ha conseguido. Y si dice que recuperaremos nuestro dinero, Chris, lo recuperaremos. Hemos perdido nuestra herencia. Estamos arruinados. Y sigues creyendo en Joe. Deberías tener más perspectiva. Esto es superficial. Lo que es una mierda. Voy a decírtelo de otra forma. No hay otra salida. Si alguien puede recuperar nuestro dinero es Joe. Esta vez papá no puede ayudarnos.
One day we received incredible news. Ron Levin had set up a credit account for Joe to trade with Stephen Raleigh, a commodities broker. I first heard of it when I walked into the office.
Vamos, sube. Sigue subiendo.
¿Qué pasa?
Ron Levin lo ha conseguido. Joe está hablando con el agente de bolsa.
No venda esas acciones y llámeme para lo de los bonos. Gracias, señor Reilly.
Díselo, Joe.
Ron Levin ha puesto a mi disposición una cuenta con $5 millones.
¿Cómo? ¿5 millones? Hemos estado invirtiendo desde ayer.
¿Cómo vamos?
Ganando $350,000, más o menos.
Y sigue subiendo, subiendo, sigue subiendo.
Joe traded the Levin account for 7 weeks.
What was the result?
It fell off at first, but picked up again, and by the 7th week, Joe had grossed $14 million for that account.
$14 million in 7 weeks.
It was a complete affirmation of Joe's system. Everything Joe said had come true. The BBC share would be $4.5 million. Joe had single-handedly solved our problems with one account. It was tremendously exciting. We leased apartments on Wilshire Boulevard, and some of us moved.
¡Alegría!
Tú, Amy y yo compartiremos este apartamento. Todd vivirá en el debajo y Brad se mudará aquí a final de mes. Solo nos falta poner el concesionario de coches en
A
el
este
garaje.
paso nos hacemos con todo el edificio. ¡Hola! Trátala bien si no quieres que te quite la novia.
¿Cómo?
Esta chica fue mi primer amor. Creo recordar que nos hicimos novios en cuarto.
¿No fuiste tú el que presentó a Amy, a Joe y
Lo
a Chris?
reconozco, soy un celestino. Si esto sigue así y espero de todo corazón que no cambie nada, vamos a dar mucho que hablar en Los Ángeles.
Sabía que Joe lo conseguiría. Os aseguro que ha sido absolutamente increíble. La cuenta que nos puso Ron Levin bajó de 5 millones a 2 en 4 días. Casi me muero. Al día siguiente volvió a subir a 5. 3 días después subió a 9. De pronto hubo un alza en el mercado. ¿Sabéis qué ocurrió? Que la cuenta se puso en 14 millones.
En 3 días. Venga.
Chris, yo mismo leí el informe, es cierto. De tener 5 millones en la cuenta hemos pasado a 14. Joe lo ha conseguido.
Sería muy importante para el club que todos sus miembros vivieran aquí, en este edificio. La proximidad física fomenta la simbiosis. Necesitamos un centro para vivir, trabajar, disfrutar, que tenga fácil comunicación. Además, así estaremos más protegidos.
¿Quién los va a atacar? Ellos. ¿Quiénes son ellos? Todo el que no sea miembro. El garaje será nuestro concesionario. Tendremos los mejores coches de importación. Rolls, Mercedes, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. ¿Que necesitáis uno? Firmáis y os lo lleváis.
Sería perfecto. Hay un pequeño problema. ¿Y si Eric y yo queremos salir el mismo día y solo hay un Ferrari? ¿Quién se lo lleva?
Chris, ¿tengo que explicarte que es una hipérbole poética?
No puede ser. Una hipérbole no es tangible, pero un Ferrari sí. He estudiado 5 años de filosofía.
Chris, ¿acaso ella piensa por ti?
¿Tú qué crees, Joe? El Ferrari es un problema. Y eso que solamente hemos hecho un supuesto. ¿Qué ocurriría si pasara de verdad? ¿Sería otra de tus paradojas, Joe?
Jenny, need these mailed right away. And get me some additional copies of the Faraday contract.
I'll get right on it, Mr. Fairmont.
Chris, got a minute?
Sure.
How's the cyclotron coming?
We're about halfway.
Well, I've been thinking, maybe if you spend all your time down on the plant on the machine, things might go faster. I'm projecting a high impact for the cyclotron on third quarter revenues.
You mean move my office down there?
Well, it might expedite the process. And besides, there's no need for you and Eric to be sharing an office up here when the plant is where you're needed. Full-time, hands-on, instead of this periodic interface.
Whatever works.
You're the max, Chris. A real team player. We need more of that in the BBC. And listen, anything you guys need down there, you just let me know, okay? Eric, got a minute? I'd like to get your views on this commodities pitch I'm preparing.
BBC Consolidated. Can I help you? Just a moment, please.
What was the financial situation by this time?
Great. Commodities were climbing. Things couldn't be better.
Señor Reilly, soy Joe Hunt.
¿Usted dirá?
¿Podría decirme cuál es nuestro saldo actual?
El señor Levin cerró la cuenta ayer.
No lo sabía, no he hablado con él.
Dijo que el experimento había terminado. Señor Hahn, usted sabía perfectamente que el dinero de esa cuenta no era real. El señor Levin solo la abrió para hacer una prueba con papel. La cuenta tampoco era real. Usted lo sabía, ¿verdad?
Naturalmente. Gracias, señor Reilly. ¿Qué pasa, Joe? La cuenta era un experimento, no era real. No hay dinero.
¿No existen los 14 millones? ¿Qué vamos a hacer, Joe?
Continuar con Levin. Es lo lógico.
¿Por qué?
O seguimos con él y le sacamos el dinero que nos ha robado. O le matamos.
Mr. Raleigh, in your capacity as a commodities broker, would you please tell the court of your business relationship with Ron Levin?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Motive. It shows that Levin's deception of Joe Hunt was a motive for murder.
Overruled. You may answer.
When Ron Levin came to see me, he represented himself as a member of Independent Network News, doing a feature story on commodities trading.
So, to give our documentary authenticity, we want to set up a fake account. Just paper, no real money, no actual buying or selling. Mr. Hunt will be calling in his transactions. You treat them as if they're real.
Does Mr. Hunt know they're not real?
No. We want him trading with the emotion of a real situation. He must think that the money is real. Like, if he's on a hot streak, does he become more daring?
Will Mr. Hunt ever be told that the account is merely paper simulation?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, right after the experiment, before we go on the air.
And was this television program ever produced by Mr. Levin?
No.
What was the financial status of the BBC at this time?
None of our other projects were making any money, and the Levin scam was a tremendous blow to us.
What did Levin say when you confronted him?
Denial, as expected. He said he took the money out and put it in real estate. He said the BBC owns a piece of it.
Do you believe him?
Who knows? But Levin must have got something out of it. And what he got, I want our cut. And I'll keep dogging him until we get it.
What about the investors, Joe?
We'll send out a statement showing a slight profit.
Joe, we're almost cleaned out. How can you be so up?
A positive attitude is essential, Dean. We're simply going to tell the investors something that they want to hear until we can give them what they want.
If only Levin's money had been real, all our problems would be stem.
Joe, the map you ordered is finally up. Want to see?
No, thank you. I'll be right in.
Okay.
What do we tell the guys?
Tell them nothing. It's absolutely essential that nobody knows that Levin scammed us. Hey. Come on. My system worked. $14 million, and I can do it again. Now get started on those statements, and I'll see you tonight at the party. Hey. And tell all the guys to be very sharp tonight. I've invited Ron Levin.
Levin, why?
Obviously to throw off suspicion from our guys that anything is wrong. Besides, staying social with Ron is a way to keep in touch with our money.
Hey, isn't it neat? It looks like a war room or something out of... What's that movie?
Dr. Strangelove.
No, I mean the one about computers with Matthew Broderick.
God. How could Ron Levin have been so cruel? So damn unfair. If the guys find out, see how Ron Levin made a fool of me, they'll never believe me. Everyone believed that I'd saved us. I believed it. All I ever wanted was to make money for everybody. I've always wanted to create an organization that was an aristocracy of achievers. A family of power people that could blast through the tyranny created by mediocre minds. Mediocrity has created a world whose economy is falling to pieces. Banks are failing as country after country default on their loans. Amy, soon all the real power will be in corporations, not governments. All power concentrated in assets instead of weapons. All it takes to control that is a financial base. And we had the seed. We actually had it. $14 million in 6 weeks. That's just a start. They have no idea what we can do.
Lo he hecho muchas veces y siempre ha salido bien. Comprar grandes cantidades para calentar el mercado. El riesgo es mayor, pero merece la pena. Oscar. Ron, quiero presentarte a Oscar Riscalia, nuestro asesor jurídico. Ron Levin.
Hola. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
¿Joe, es que en el club no hay nadie con más de 25? Me siento como un fósil.
El mayor tiene 27. Después casi todos optan por la seguridad.
¿No son todos muy niños?
Discúlpanos, Oscar. ¿Podemos hablar a solas?
¿Vas a venir?
Ya te lo diré.
Hola, chicos.
Hola.
¿Cómo va todo en la planta?
Fatal. ¿Y por la central? ¿Somos ya ricos?
Ya te avisaré, Chris.
No me cabe la menor duda.
¿Estáis enfadados?
No le soporto. Desde que nuestro querido Joe me envió al almacén, Eric me mira por encima del hombro. Apenas nos hablamos.
Es una lástima.
Ha cambiado, ya no es como antes. Es como si no fuera mi hermano.
seas imbécil. Lo mismo que me dijo el señor Reilly, que era dinero ficticio que nunca ha existido.
No lo comprendo. ¿Para qué se molestó en abrir la cuenta?
Para tener papeles falsos y enseñar un balance de 14 millones de dólares a otros brokers. Como ellos no sabían que el balance era ficticio, le dieron un crédito a Levin por $1,5 millones.
¡Qué astuto! Más tarde, Joe dijo que Levin nos devolvería aproximadamente $300,000 del $1,5 millones que nos había timado.
¿Recibió usted parte de ese dinero?
No, porque era mentira.
¿Y fue entonces cuando usted presentó a Joe a Frank Booker?
Sí. Booker había trabajado como guardia de seguridad en nuestro edificio. Hola, Frank. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien.
Me alegro de verte. Anda, pasa. Joe, te presento a Frank Booker. Frank tiene un pasado muy interesante. Fue elegido Mr. Universo.
Es un placer conocerte.
Lo mismo digo.
Frank's a 5th degree black belt. Teaches karate. He played pro football.
Yeah? What team?
The Colts. Then I drifted into security work back east.
What kind of security work?
Bodyguard, electronic surveillance, firearms training.
Maybe some muscle work?
Maybe.
So Frank Booker very quickly became friends with Joe.
Soon after Joe Hunt met Booker, was Joe going to make him a member of the BBC?
Booker will be a good guy to have around.
What would he do?
He can begin by teaching us karate.
Mr. Rastelli, in what capacity did Mr. Booker work at the BBC?
Booker hadn't been there very long when I asked Joe.
Come on, what's a guy like Booker gonna do around here? With his body and my brains, we are the ultimate man. He's in charge of security, and he's my bodyguard. Look, Booker is from a different world, Oscar. We don't have his street savvy. I want to see if he can infuse some of that in the membership.
Booker was a heck of a fighter, an extremely physical guy. One day at the warehouse, Chris and Brad were goofing around with Booker. He kept some of his gear down there.
Dale fuerte.
Bueno, ahora coged esos hierros y atacadme con ellos.
¿Qué?
Que cojáis cada uno un hierro y me ataquéis. Pero en serio.
Tú verás.
Estoy preparado. Cuando queráis.
Booker had other assets. He knew weapons. He carried a Derringer strapped to his leg. He also had several other guns.
Es increíble. Suena exactamente igual que en las películas.
There was kind of a macho atmosphere developing around the BBC. Karate lessons, guns, silencers. The warehouse was even used as sort of a firing range when Booker gave lessons. But business-wise, things were really coming apart.
No matter what we do, the admissions lab won't certify him. There's always something wrong. And $1,000 per test? Have we tried to get a special price? Yeah, nothing.
Have we tried to pay him off?
He's state licensed. He said when the cars are right, they'll pass.
He won't budge?
Won't budge. about the shooting, I was really bothered. And Chris was my closest friend in the group.
Chris? Quebec. How's it going?
Chris, you're not going to believe this.
And I believe it already.
Is Booker around?
No, why? What is it?
Booker and Joe shot up the certification lab.
What? How do you know?
They did it. I got it from a very reliable source. Believe me, they did it. They put on fatigues and they shot up the lab.
And when Chris came to me with the story, it just seemed too outrageous. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
Quebec swore it happened.
Why would they do that?
Isn't the lab refusing to pass our cars?
Yes, Chris, but you don't shoot up the lab, you fix the cars.
Quebec wouldn't just make it all up, Eric. And Booker is one crazy dude.
You know, you'd like to believe anything against Joe, wouldn't you? No matter how ridiculous.
Come on, Eric. You know all the crazy macho talk that's been going on lately? Well, it isn't just talk anymore. You better find out what is really going on.
There was only one way to find out. So I confronted Joe.
Eric, ¿cómo has podido creerte una cosa así? Tú estás aquí conmigo todo el día. Trabajo de sol a sol. ¿De verdad piensas que salgo por las noches para vengarme de los que no nos dejan importar coches? Es absurdo.
Yo solo sé lo que me ha dicho Chris.
Chris. Lo entiendo, Eric. Sé que es tu hermano. Me extraña que no lo conozcas. Es un envidioso. Si tú trabajas en esta oficina es porque vales mucho. Chris trabaja en el almacén porque no tiene categoría para hacerlo aquí. Ese es el motivo de que ni a ti ni a mí nos pueda ver. En el fondo sabes que tengo razón. Confía en mí.
Perdóname, Joe, pero por favor compréndeme. Tenía que oírtelo decir.
No hagas caso de nadie. Los rumores nos perjudican. Debes informarme de todo cuanto te diga Chris para saber a qué atenerme. Eric, ya no somos unos niños. Métetelo en la cabeza. La lealtad al club es lo primero.
What was the financial situation by this time?
Deteriorating badly. No money coming in and investors driving us crazy. Levin hadn't given us anything but promises. I went out of town for a week on business and returned to the office at night. Joe was there.
Hi, Dean. Have a good trip.
Okay, I guess.
Frank digs pit. Booker has been up to Soledad Canyon digging a pit to take Ron Levin after he's killed.
En casa de Levin, guantes puestos, cerrar persianas, amordazar, esposar, matar al perro.
Entonces usted ya sabía que en esas hojas se describía el plan para matar a Ron Levin.
Sí, lo sabía.
¿Por qué no acudió inmediatamente a la policía?
Muy sencillo, porque yo formaba parte de los planes de Joe en aquel momento. Yo le respaldaba en lo que había decidido hacer. Yo era su gran apoyo. Estaba de su parte.
¿Qué sucedió después?
We discussed the list. Joe was always making lists and contingency plans. This list covered every possibility Joe would face killing Ron Levin.
Levin, his situation, meaning what?
First, I'm going to Levin's house. I've got the papers all drawn up. And a contract showing Levin is investing in the cyclotron.
For how much?
Whatever I can get out of him. That's why the amount is blank. I'll type it there. I'm taking everything with me, a corporate seal, hole punch, a file that says we've been in negotiations over this, so forth.
What's your pressure on Levin?
Booker. Levin doesn't know him. After I'm there, Booker will show up with his gun. I'll tell Ron that Booker is a mafia enforcer and that I owe him money. And I'll tell him that I promised to pay them from the money that Levin owes me. That puts us in the same boat. Levin signs us a check, or Booker kills us both. That explains this notation. Explain the situation to him.
And what if Levin doesn't buy that?
Then we go down the list. We bind and gag him and kill his dog. Levin loves that dog. We'll kill it in a grotesque way, and he'll be inclined to cooperate. He'll sign the check and this contract, and we'll leave stuff in his file showing that it was a legitimate business transaction.
What does this mean? Take holes with you.
When you make a file, you punch holes in the paper. And I don't want to leave any pieces of paper from the holes behind, showing that the files were made there.
Nifty touch. When?
Tomorrow night. Levin leaves for New York the next day. We'll pack his bags, lock up the house, put the alarm on, and his absence is covered for a while because he's out of town.
Who's your alibi?
You. You'll take Amy to the movies, and you'll swear that I was with you. Let's execute the merger.
Hola, soy Joe. ¿Cómo va todo? Sí, ya sabía que te ibas. ¿Por qué no cenamos juntos esta noche? Puedo comprar algo en Montevecchio y llevarlo. La comida es muy buena allí, hablaremos de negocios. Tú nunca te has negado a una cena gratis. ¿A las 8:30? Muy bien. Bueno. Carney, ¿sabes qué ocurrió el 6 de junio en la Segunda Guerra Mundial? Fue el día de...